Before electric chairs, before iron maidens. Before pain became a science. There was a chair of wood, leather straps, and fire. A device so quiet, so simple, so ordinary, that no one believed it could break a soul. But in ancient Rome, this tool became a weapon of obedience, designed not for enemies, but for wives.
Welcome to Legacy Chronicle Hub. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon for more epic history stories.
In the heart of Rome, where legions marched and emperors ruled, there existed a lesser-known but terrifying creation. ****, the Cella Tormenti ****, a torture seat invented not for spies, not for traitors, not for warriors who deserted their posts, but for women who refused to obey. Forgotten in dust-covered scrolls, whispered only in legal documents. The Cella Tormenti was more than torture. It was a symbol. A crude reminder of control, fear, and patriarchal power. The poets never wrote about it. The generals never mentioned it. But in the shadows of Roman households, it ruled with silent authority. Rome prided itself on law. The Lex Julia, Lex Cornelia, Lex Voconia ***. Codes written in stone, iron, and blood. But among these large political laws, there existed a domestic expectation whispered between men. ***, a Roman wife must obey her husband as a soldier obeys his general. It was during the late Republic, around the 1st century BCE, when domestic rebellion began to rise. Women, educated, wealthy, empowered, started challenging their husbands. Some refused arranged marriages. Some questioned financial decisions. Some rejected the suffocating rules of Roman patriarchy. These weren't rebellions of swords. They were rebellions of words. And Rome feared them. So, in a dim workshop under the Forum, blacksmiths forged a device on the request of a magistrate whose wife had publicly humiliated him. A wooden chair. Leather restraints. A hollowed seat beneath which hot coals could be placed. Simple, silent, effective. The Cella Tormenti was born. Imagine the workshop. The hammer strikes. The smell of burning oak fills the air. Metal buckles are shaped while sweat drips from the smith's forehead. You hear the scrape of leather straps being cut. You feel the dry heat of the furnace glowing behind your back. You smell the bitterness of charcoal. Each buckle is tightened. Each strap inspected. Each wooden slat carved to be smooth enough not to break skin, but cruel enough to burn from beneath. The magistrate watches silently. His eyes cold. His pride wounded. It must not kill. He orders. Only remind. The smith nods, adjusting the frame, ensuring the body would sit helpless, unable to rise. As the heat underneath grew slowly, deliberately, unbearably. This wasn't torture meant for confessions. It was torture meant for obedience. The Cella Tormenti didn't appear on battlefields. It wasn't carried by legions. It never touched the sands of Carthage or the snows of Germania. Its battlefield was the Roman home. Historical fragments, letters, divorce records, legal petitions describe cases like Livia Marcia, who challenged her husband's political bribery. Aurelia Donata, who refused an arranged remarriage. Crispina Valeria, accused of public disrespect. These were not criminals. They were simply women who crossed the invisible line Rome had carved. In each case, husbands invoked domestic correction. Not execution. Not exile. A punishment meant to break the will, not the body. A wife was strapped into the chair. Hot coals were placed beneath the hollow. At first, she felt warmth. Then discomfort. Then panic. She would plead. She would cry. She would swear obedience. And when the heat became unbearable, her skin not burned, but her spirit scorched, the husband would lift her out. The Cella Tormenti did not kill, but it destroyed resistance. Rome applauded it as discipline. Modern eyes see it for what it was. A sanctioned weapon of domestic tyranny. Picture a woman. Let's call her Aurelia. One of the few whose story survived in family letters. She had married a senator. Educated. Gentle. Respected. But marriage revealed the truth. He saw her as property. When Aurelia refused to support her husband's corruption during an election, he dragged her before their household slaves. Her dignity shattered. And strapped her into the Cella Tormenti. Aurelia wrote, "It was not the heat that broke me. It was the betrayal. To marry a man. And discover a master." That sentence echoes across 2,000 years. This wasn't just a device. It was a symbol that home could become a battlefield. And husband could become enemy. It showed how Rome, a civilization built on law and order, could be lawless in the place meant to be safest. The emotional weight of the Cella Tormenti isn't the device itself, but the silence of the victims. The screams were never recorded. The tears were never archived. The trauma stayed locked in memory. Not in marble or scroll. As Christianity spread in the 4th century CE, domestic cruelty began to be condemned, at least officially. The church criticized husbands who used instruments of torment against their wives. The Cella Tormenti slowly disappeared from Roman households. Burned. Buried. Hidden. By the fall of the Western Empire, it became a whisper of a whisper. A device mentioned only in obscure household manuals and moral condemnations. But its disappearance was not a victory. It faded not because women gained rights, but because empire collapsed. A civilization died, and with it the evidence of its domestic shadows. The Cella Tormenti did not die. It simply became memory. Today, historians debate whether the Cella Tormenti was widespread or limited to elite households. But all agree on one truth. Rome mastered power not only over nations, but over the private lives of its people. Control was the true Roman weapon. And the Cella Tormenti was its quiet blade. What is its legacy? You won't find it in museums. You won't see it in movies. No emperor ever bragged about it. But its spirit survived in different forms. Chairs of interrogation. Psychological punishment. Silent domestic oppression. Tools that hurt, not through wounds, but through fear. And so we ask, what does betrayal mean? When it comes not from enemies, but from the person you promised your life to? What does trauma mean? When it is inflicted not by empire, but by home? And perhaps most haunting, how many Cella Tormenti still exist today? In different shapes, different cultures, different relationships, carving silence into those who dare to resist. Before the electric chair, before iron maidens, there was a simple seat of wood and leather, designed to break not bodies, but rebellion. And today, its legacy warns us. Power doesn't need swords. Control doesn't need blood. Sometimes the quietest tools leave the deepest scars. If this forgotten chapter of history moved you, show your support with a like. And subscribe for more cinematic stories from the shadows of ancient civilizations. And as always, may history never be forgotten.